easier and more peaceful to take out the two people on the other side of the house. And like we've been saying for like 2 months, and obviously we've all kept each other safe for a long time. Just stick with that, and then go 3-on-3 in the end, because obviously there's gonna be a group of 3, and me and Kyle are like, okay, we trust Monty. I don't think that he would have done that.
No, God, no, dude. Because my loyalty came from the past.
Yeah, that's how this all started.
Turner's gut is telling him to take the easy way out this week. Don't get the blood on his hands. Go after outsiders like Terrence and Alyssa, and then he can maybe fall back into the background, the game that he's good at. Turner's gut might be saying that, but what about Turner's spine? Let's take a look at Turner's spine when Kyle is pushing Turner to play Kyle's game. I'm nice and sick, but we're going to push through this today with the new HOH. Turner being the new HOH. This comes off of last week with the twist where Joseph and Jasmine went home. The Turner, Kyle, the way they voted out Joseph, the way some of them are acting was some poor jury management, to say the least. Honestly, I think Turner has had the worst week in the house out of anyone. I feel like his shot at winning just keeps getting worse and worse. Him winning this HOH in the first place was the wrong move for him, because the only game Turner could play, it's what I've been saying, is coasting. He doesn't know. Once he gets power, he has to be told what to do, because he doesn't know how to follow his gut. His gut told him over a week ago, 2 weeks ago, when Kyle was trying to recruit him into a new alliance, that the first people to turn on their alliance usually get clipped. But now here is Turner this week, listening to Kyle, going against his own gut. Turner would be the first leftover to take a direct shot at leftovers this week. I think Turner is definitely growing his target, but also losing his chances of getting jury votes. In his exit interviews, Joseph doesn't seem very happy with Turner. The other way Turner went against his gut is his gut was telling him in his talks with Monty that he needs to have an easy week. He can have an easier week by getting out either Terrence or Alyssa. He can fall back onto the leftovers and play the game that he's been good at, being the middle of the leftovers. But he has no spine, and he's gotten talked out of it by Kyle, because Kyle will do everything possible to protect Alyssa, and nobody really seems to care. This has been a theme of the season, though. The house is quite literally Play-Doh, and the people that have pushed the hardest usually get their way because of the way they casted this cast. It started with Paloma, the youngest person in the house, doing so much, and the house listening to the youngest person in the house. We saw this right away. I talked about it right the first week. The fact that the house was listening to the youngest cast member didn't speak great to their abilities to play this game. Just a bunch of pushovers. And then we saw it again once Paloma was gone. Amira and Nicole were pushing their ways the best, making their alliances. And then, of course, when Joseph and Kyle pushed their way to get the leftovers, they were able to change the whole game because of this house full of pushovers. It's Play-Doh. You can mold these people to how you want because they are that spineless. And Kyle now has become the person pushing the hardest, so of course he's going to get his way with all of these spineless players. Nobody else wants to push their agenda. They play scared. I see people getting upset at Daniel in one of his Instagram lives, calling Turner bitch boy. Well, you know, you could get mad at Daniel for being a hypocrite because Daniel was the original bitch boy of this season. He was that first HOH with no spine, and he had to listen to what others told him rather than play his own game. Turner now doing the same. This has been Turner's MO, though, since he was the first HOH. You can push Turner to get your way because Turner will not play his own game. He did not listen to his gut what to do this week, and now he's going to have a very dramatic week and possibly lose more jury votes by nominating Taylor and Brittany by trying to backdoor Michael. That's the plan that Kyle talked him into in the wee hours of the morning. Kyle playing like Frenchie. Anybody that saw Frenchie's HOH week, the first week of last season, he stayed up till the wee hours of the morning to try and push Derek X to use the veto. Luckily, even though Derek X's execution of his game wasn't very good, Derek X did develop a good game sense. And Derek X did not give in. Derek X had a backbone, at least with Frenchie that week in week 1. But this cast, not a backbone in sight. Kyle woke up early to talk to Turner when Turner was still sleeping to push his way back onto getting Taylor and Brittany up on the block. We have Monty, who's been trying to push more show for Alyssa and Terrence to go because Turner wants to be loyal to the pound. Now, one member, Joseph's already out that he wasn't loyal to, but Turner wants to play with Kyle and Monty going forward. But this is why Turner's game is such a mess now. Turner's game is a mess because of Kyle, and Turner knows this. Turner knows Kyle threw his ass under the bus, and yet Turner still wants to play with Kyle. Just awful gameplay, per usual. This is the theme of the season. And there's some people commending Monty for not pushing too hard. Monty wants to save his own ass. But no, that's not the way this season has worked. The people that push the hardest get their way because the cast sucks and they're spineless. But Monty didn't push hard enough. Kyle did, once again, and Kyle is going to get his way once again. And likelihood is either Taylor, Michael, or Brittany leave this week. The plan is to try to backdoor Michael. And it's funny because, Michael and Brittany have been trying to play the middle. They had all this ammo against Kyle and Alyssa, but throughout all of their fucking scenarios, never seemed to run through the right scenario. Well, actually, the irony is, Brittany has on occasion tried to warn Michael about how Kyle and Alyssa could be dangerous. They can't go too far. Does Michael ever listen to Brittany's superior greets to him? No, of course not. And now his ass could be in danger because of it. If somehow knobs stay the same between Brittany and Taylor, I think Taylor's a goner in that case, because I fully expect Kyle at some point to fall back on his all-white plans. It's going to happen at some point, I'm sure, and it would be easy to do that with Michael and Brittany just to get out Taylor. I don't think Taylor going this week necessarily helps anyone's games other than Kyle and Alyssa, because Taylor really doesn't have a lot of real connection in this house. She could still be a number for people, but nobody wants to fight hard enough to keep her. And of course, Michael and Brittany are going to fight hard enough to keep her because they want to keep each other. Now, if Michael wins veto, if he gets picked to play veto and wins veto, and he takes down Taylor, will there actually be an awakening? Because will Turner have to put up somebody like Terrence or Alyssa, and then Monty, Michael, and Brittany can vote together because only 5 players vote this round, and then the person next to Taylor goes home, and they have the numbers. Do I actually expect this cast to be bright enough to figure that out? No. And also, even if that's the case, I fully expect Kyle to push hard at some point for the renom to be Monty. Now, we see Turner's spine here. He wants to work with the pound, and Turner has always trusted Monty. In Turner's gut, I think he trusts Monty the most out of everyone, honestly. Even though he has that final 2 with Kyle, and even though he's keeps agreeing to go to final 3 with the showmans like an idiot. So it will be interesting to see if that scenario happens. Michael wins veto, takes off Brittany. Will Kyle push very hard for Monty to be the renom, or will they all just kind of... Well, he's not going to let it be Alyssa. You could believe that. So it would probably have to be Terrence in that case, if it's not Monty. And Kyle still whiteifies the house in that way. I've been trying to think, for Turner's sake, how he maneuvers this week. I'm crazy enough when I've played orgs. I've been in similar scenario where, if your game's already kind of chaotic, and Turner's now, because he won HOH, he can't play the game he's good at and sit back and be a coaster. He actually has to play the game, and it's going to be, he's having a chaotic HOH for all the shit he talked about Taylor's HOH. Turner's been promising a lot of things mere hours into his. From my point of view, I mean, why not nominate somebody from both sides of the house? It's very high risk, though, but also could be very high reward because you keep the two sides against each other. Say Turner nominated Terrence and Brittany this week to kind of go against both sides. It would really depend on how he was able to play that socially, but it could keep those sides going against each other and then leaves Turner right in the middle again. You know, Turner didn't choose a side here, but he would have to play that good socially, and it's a very hard thing to pull off. To be able to, you know, take shots at both sides while you're kind of in the middle, to get out of that to not be an easy target going forward is very difficult. But it's something that I would try in a game, honestly. But I just like chaos. I see Turner maybe he wants to stay with Monty and Kyle because he can be in the middle of those two eventually going against each other. It's not the worst idea, but you know, Turner going to the end with Kyle, I would think Turner could get that vote, but like Turner's burning jury votes too, possibly. Turner going to the end with Monty, I think Monty has a great shot of winning that one. One last thing I wanted to touch upon is the difference between, you know, personal connections and game connections. It's something I've been talking about all season where Turner and Taylor have been concerned. I've been saying how they needed to make stronger game connections with each other this whole time and they never went for it. You know, people upset that Turner stayed up late many nights with Joseph and Taylor and told them personal information. But the fact is, those three never really had strong game ties. They never talked a lot of game with each other. And there is a huge difference between personal connections and game connections in these games. Even some of the best players seem to not understand that. And you can have both, 100%. You can have both. But Turner didn't have those game connections with Taylor and Joseph. And it falls on all three of them. And I think it was negative for all three of their games. You know, meanwhile, Kyle and Alyssa, their connection has been 100% personal, but Kyle has still been using that for his game connection. And the sad part is the cast just lets him get away with it because they are like Play-Doh. Just easy to push into things. Lack of spines. Now, I'm recording this before Noms. I don't know when this will be posted, so I'll have to give my thoughts on the aftermath of Noms on Saturday. You know, it seems as though, once again, talking about Turner possibly burning jury votes, he just wants to possibly blindside that he's nominating Taylor and Brittany. We'll see if this can be a wake-up call for people. And Kyle wants to get the ex-leftovers together and have this big confrontation. Michael and Brittany just, you know, this is what they get for going along with the race war. Because they have this ammunition that this is what Kyle has been doing, and now they probably waited too long to use that information to their advantage. That's why they shouldn't have gone along with it in the first place. My hope is for one of those two to go home. I don't really give a shit which one. But we'll see. I mean, it's an interesting week because it's interesting to see what production wants. Because production loves them some Kyle and Michael. I do feel like they want to keep Taylor around too because she has been a ratings draw for them. Quite popular on social media as well. But we'll see. We'll see if Michael gets picked for veto. If he wins another veto, takes down Brittany. If that happens, then somebody other than those three, Brittany, Michael, and Taylor, will likely go home unless Turner puts up Monty because that's what Kyle ends up pushing for. And Turner being the spineless jellyfish that he is.